do you do at UNC Highway Safety Research Center?
My name is Sarah O'Brien, and I'm a Senior Research Associate here at HSRC. I work on primarily bicycle and pedestrian transportation safety-related projects, both research as well as technical assistance.
How can research support efforts to improve accessibility and safety for everyone?
When we think about the general public, about a third of the population can be considered disabled really at any given time between mobility impairments, cognitive impairments, or not being able to see or hear, and that can impact how a person can travel and navigate about their environment. Accessible transportation is a civil right that's founded under the ADA, or the Americans with Disabilities Act. And so it's really important that we're offering spaces and ways for people to navigate independently and safely and successfully through whatever means they need to travel to get to and from their destinations. My research in particular focuses on pedestrian accessibility and being able to walk and navigate through spaces to get from point A to point B.
What are tactile wayfinding systems, and why are they important?
When we think about people who are blind or have low vision, and we think about ways for them to be able to understand where they are when they're walking along a sidewalk or traveling through a transit terminal, there's information that they can often use from the built environment, like a hard curb line or landscaping and things like that, that can give them context for where they are in that space. But in some locations, that type of information is not available to them or may be confusing or misleading. So that's where tactile wayfinding systems can come into place. And they're basically a variation of different types of tactile walking surface indicators, which are specific raised element geometries that people can feel underfoot or with their cane. And depending on what that geometry of the raised element feels like, they can understand what that surface is telling them based on the context of the environment that they're in.
Tell us about some recent projects you've been working on.
The first one is a transit cooperative research program project that's funded by the National Academies of Sciences. And for that one, we really wanted to understand what kind of geometry for those raised elements was the best performing. And what I mean by that is for a person who's blind to be able to understand different types of surfaces. The second project that we did was for Federal Highway Administration, looking at accessibility for innovative and new types of bicycle and pedestrian facilities. For that project, we were actually looking at how could curb extensions be done in such a way that they would actually be more accessible.
What are some unique aspects to consider when researching accessibility?
When we think about researching accessibility questions for people who are blind or low vision in particular, it's really important that we're reaching out to that community, to the members of the population who actually have some sort of issue with their sight. And so this is where we really rely on our partners to help us with recruiting, as well as for conducting the experiments with people who are blind. We called on the Accessible Design for the Blind team. They are a consultant group that does research as well as have on staff certified orientation and mobility specialists. And O&M specialists are really important because they are the people who actually work with people who are blind to train and educate them on how to navigate the built environment in general. And so they're really used to working with people who are blind and helping them to understand what different cues they might be interacting with.
What are your plans for future research on accessibility?
There's definitely more to be done. One of the research projects that we recently won that will be starting up soon is going to be looking specifically at crosswalk markings. And so this project is going to look at the accessibility factors specifically for different crosswalk marking styles to understand if a certain style is better for people with low vision to be able to identify and locate where the crosswalk exists.